Have you ever felt like you are the biggest thing standing in your own way? Like every time you try to move forward, something inside you pulls you back. Maybe you set big goals, but never follow through. Maybe you sabotage good opportunities without even knowing why. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In her book, The Mountain Is You, Brianna Wiest explains why we self-sabotage and, more importantly, how to stop. She reveals that the real mountain in our lives isn't something outside of us, it's us. It's our fears, our limiting beliefs, our past wounds. And the only way to overcome it? Mastering ourselves. This video isn't just a summary, it's a roadmap. We're going to break down the key lessons from The Mountain Is You, give you actionable steps, and challenge you to finally start climbing toward the life you want. So, if you're ready to stop getting in your own way, stick around. Because this might just be the wake-up call you need. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in the same patterns, no matter how hard you try to change? Like every time you take 2 steps forward, something pulls you 3 steps back. Maybe it's procrastinating on something important, staying in a relationship you know isn't right, or setting big goals only to abandon them a few weeks later. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. In her book, The Mountain Is You, Brianna Wiest makes a bold claim: the biggest obstacle in your life isn't your circumstances, your past, or even other people, it's you. But before you get defensive, hear this out. Wiest isn't saying this in a self-blaming, you should be doing better, kind of way. Instead, she explains that self-sabotage is actually self-protection. The habits that hold you back. They exist because, at some level, they're keeping you safe. Safe from failure, from rejection, from discomfort. But here's the twist: what feels safe isn't always what's best for you. Think about a mountain for a second. It's big. It's intimidating. And if you're standing at the bottom, it feels impossible to climb. That mountain represents your struggles, the thing standing between you and the life you want. But here's what most people don't realize: that mountain isn't just in front of you. It's within you. It's made up of old beliefs, fears, and emotional wounds that you haven't yet faced. The climb isn't about conquering something external. It's about mastering yourself. And let's be real, growth is uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed how nature thrives at the edges? Where forests meet open fields, where rivers carve through rock. That's where life is most vibrant. It's the same with us. When we push ourselves beyond what's comfortable, that's when real transformation happens. But most of us avoid that edge. We stay in jobs we hate because change is scary. We hold on to unhealthy habits because they give us temporary comfort. We tell ourselves we'll start next Monday, because deep down, staying the same feels safer than the unknown. But what if the discomfort you're avoiding is actually the doorway to everything you've ever wanted? What if that fear, that struggle, is the fire that's meant to forge you into something stronger? The truth is, your old self, the version of you that built these habits, that made these choices, can't take you where you want to go. That version of you was necessary. It got you here. But to move forward, you have to let go. You have to stop identifying with the person who settles, who second-guesses, who plays small. Instead, you have to become the version of yourself that climbs the mountain. So here's the challenge: what's the mountain in your life right now? What's the thing you keep putting off, the thing you know you need to face? Because once you recognize it, you have 2 choices: keep avoiding it or start climbing. And if you're ready to climb, stick with me. Because next, we're diving into why self-sabotage happens in the first place and how to break free from it for good. If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, you're not crazy, and you're definitely not alone. Most of us think of self-sabotage as some kind of mysterious force, like an evil twin inside our heads that ruins our progress. But here's the real kicker: self-sabotage isn't the enemy. It's actually your mind's attempt to protect you. That's right. Every time you procrastinate, overthink, stay in a toxic situation, or convince yourself you're not good enough, your brain isn't trying to ruin your life, it's trying to keep you safe. Safe from failure, rejection, or the discomfort of change. But what it doesn't realize is that in protecting you from short-term pain, it's trapping you in long-term suffering. So, how do we break this cycle? First, we have to understand the ways self-sabotage sneaks into our lives. And Brianna Wiest breaks it down beautifully. Let's start with the big one, emotional intelligence. This is the foundation of self-mastery. It's not about suppressing emotions or forcing yourself to be positive all the time. It's about learning to sit with your emotions, to understand them, instead of letting them control you. Think about the last time you felt anxious, angry, or overwhelmed. Did you immediately try to distract yourself? Maybe you scrolled on your phone, grabbed a snack, or found some other way to avoid feeling what you were feeling. That's normal. But emotions aren't meant to be numbed, they're meant to be processed. Wiest makes a powerful point: when you resist an emotion, it doesn't go away. It just buries itself deeper and comes back stronger later. The only way out is through. Instead of pushing feelings away, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Anxiety might be pointing out something in your life that's out of alignment. Anger might be revealing a boundary you need to set. Sadness might be calling you to slow down and heal. When you listen to your emotions instead of avoiding them, you take back your power. Now, let's talk about limiting beliefs, because these are the invisible scripts running your life. Have you ever set a big goal, only to feel like some unseen force is holding you back? Maybe you've always struggled with money, relationships, or self-worth, and no matter how hard you try, you keep ending up in the same place. That's not a coincidence. Your subconscious mind is wired to keep you in familiar patterns, even if those patterns are unhealthy. For example, if you grew up hearing that rich people are greedy or that love always leads to heartbreak, guess what? Your brain is going to resist any success in those areas because deep down, it believes success equals danger. And unless you consciously rewrite those beliefs, they'll keep running the show. So, how do you break free? Start questioning your thoughts. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough or I don't deserve this, pause and ask, is this actually true? And more importantly, where did this belief come from? Because here's the truth: most of our beliefs aren't even ours. They're borrowed from parents, society, past experiences. But just because something feels true doesn't mean it is true. And then there's fear, the thing that keeps us stuck more than anything else. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping into the unknown. But Wiest flips the script on fear. She says that fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. A sign that you're about to grow. Think about it: when was the last time you were afraid to do something, but you did it anyway? Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting, asking someone out, or making a big life decision. And once you did it, you probably realized it wasn't as scary as you thought. That's because fear only exists before you take action. The second you step into it, it loses its power. Here's a mind-blowing perspective: the life you want is on the other side of the things you're avoiding. If you keep dodging discomfort, you're also dodging growth. The key is to stop waiting until you feel ready, because ready is a myth. You'll never feel fully prepared to take big leaps. You just have to go for it anyway. And that brings us to self-trust. Because if you don't trust yourself, you'll never take risks. You'll second-guess every decision, looking for permission or validation from others. But Wiest makes it clear: confidence isn't something you magically wake up with. It's built through action. Imagine two versions of yourself. One is constantly doubting, hesitating, and playing it safe. The other makes bold decisions, takes responsibility, and shows up even when it's uncomfortable. Which version do you think ends up living a more fulfilled life? The difference between these two isn't luck, it's self-trust. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you prove that you can handle challenges. So, if you take one thing from this, let it be this: the way you build confidence is by doing the things you say you're going to do. Show up for yourself. Follow through. Even if it's just in small ways, waking up when you say you will, finishing that project, having that tough conversation. Each time you do, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. And that belief changes everything. Lastly, let's talk about discomfort, because if you want to transform, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Growth isn't smooth. It's messy. It's painful. It feels like everything is falling apart before it comes together. But Wiest reminds us that this chaos isn't a sign to quit, it's a sign that you're on the right path. Think about a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it literally dissolves into mush inside its cocoon. It's unrecognizable before it transforms. And sometimes, that's what change feels like. Like you're breaking down. But what if that breakdown is actually the breakthrough? What if the pain is proof that you're evolving? So, here's the question: are you willing to sit with the discomfort long enough to grow through it? Are you willing to rewrite the beliefs that are holding you back? Are you willing to stop waiting until you feel ready and start acting now? Because the truth is, your mountain isn't going anywhere. You can either stand at the bottom, wishing things were different, or you can start climbing. The choice is yours. But if you're ready to climb, in the next section, we're diving into how the exact steps you can take to break free from self-sabotage and step into the person you're meant to be. Stay with me. This is where the real work begins. Alright, so we've talked about what's holding you back: self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, fear of change. You get it. You're the mountain, and the only way forward is to climb. But here's the real question: how? It's easy to talk about change. It's harder to actually make it happen. You might be feeling inspired right now, but let's be real: how many times have you had that surge of motivation, only for it to fade a few days later? That's the trap most people fall into. They read the books, watch the videos, take in all this knowledge, but they don't apply it. And without action, nothing changes. That's why Brianna Wiest doesn't just leave us with insights, she gives us a roadmap. A step-by-step process to stop sabotaging ourselves and actually move forward. It's not magic. It's not overnight. But if you commit to these steps, things will start shifting. Step 1: identify your self-sabotage patterns. Sounds simple, right? But most people don't even realize how they're getting in their own way. We tell ourselves stories like, "I just have bad luck," or, "it's not the right time," when really, we're the ones keeping ourselves stuck. So here's your first challenge: get brutally honest. Where do you keep hitting the same walls in your life? Is it relationships? Finances? Health? Productivity? Look at the patterns, not just the symptoms. If every job you've ever had ends in burnout, or every relationship leaves you feeling unworthy, or every goal gets abandoned halfway through, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns come from beliefs. Ask yourself, what belief is driving this behavior? Maybe deep down, you believe success will make people resent you. Maybe you associate love with pain. Maybe you think you're not worthy of happiness. Whatever it is, once you see the pattern, you can start changing it. Because here's the truth: you can't fix what you won't face. Step 2: develop emotional agility. This is where most people get stuck. They think the key to change is just working harder or staying motivated, but that's not it. The real work? Learning to sit with discomfort. Because let's be honest, growth is hard. Change is scary. And your brain is wired to avoid pain. That's why we numb ourselves with distractions, why we procrastinate, why we self-sabotage. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. But here's what nobody tells you: the discomfort isn't the problem. It's the path. If you want to stop sabotaging yourself, you have to stop running from your feelings. Instead of pushing them down, ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Anxiety might be pointing out something in your life that needs to change. Anger might be showing you where you need to set boundaries. Boredom might be a sign you're not challenging yourself enough. Every emotion has a message. And when you stop avoiding them, you start understanding yourself on a whole new level. So next time you feel triggered, pause. Instead of distracting yourself, take a deep breath and ask, what's really going on here? Because once you master your emotions, you master yourself. Step 3, reprogram your mindset. This is where real transformation happens. If you don't believe change is possible, you won't even try. If you secretly think you're not good enough, you'll keep proving yourself right. That's how the subconscious mind works. It's always looking for evidence to confirm what it already believes. So how do you break the cycle? You rewrite the script. Start by challenging your thoughts. When your mind tells you, I'll never be successful, ask, is that actually true? Or is it just a belief I picked up? When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not lovable, stop and ask, would I say that to a friend? Most of our beliefs aren't facts, they're just stories we've been telling ourselves for years. And guess what? You can change the story. One way to do this is through affirmations, but not in the cheesy, just think positive way. The key is to choose beliefs that feel possible for you right now. Instead of saying, I'm rich and successful, if that feels fake, start with, I am learning how to manage my money better. Instead of, I love myself completely, try, I am working on treating myself with more kindness. Small shifts add up over time. Step 4, commit to small, sustainable changes. This is where most people fail. They go all in on a new goal, push themselves too hard, and burn out before they even make progress. Sound familiar? The truth is, small changes are what lead to big results. If you want to get healthier, don't try to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Just start drinking more water. If you want to be more productive, don't force yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. Just commit to working on your goals for 10 minutes a day. The key is consistency. Even if you only improve by 1% each day, that adds up to massive transformation over time. The problem is, most people quit before they see results. They don't trust the process. So here's the mindset shift: instead of focusing on fast results, focus on lasting ones. Ask yourself, what's one small change I can make today that I can actually stick with? That's how you build momentum. Step 5, embrace the climb. Let's be real, there will be moments when you want to give up. When fear creeps in. When old habits try to pull you back. That's part of the process. The difference between people who change and people who stay stuck. The ones who change keep going, even when it's hard. They understand that struggle isn't a sign to quit, it's a sign of progress. Think about climbing a real mountain. At first, the path is easy. But as you go higher, the air gets thinner, the climb gets harder. That's exactly how personal growth works. The closer you get to the life you want, the more resistance you'll feel. But that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're getting stronger. So, here's the challenge: next time things get tough, don't run. Don't retreat to old habits. Don't tell yourself it's not meant to be. Instead, remind yourself, this is part of the climb. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you keep going when you want to quit, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. And one day, you'll look back and realize the mountain that once seemed impossible. It's behind you now. So, are you ready to start climbing? Because in the next section, we're going to talk about something most people never even consider: the blind spots that keep us stuck, even when we think we're doing everything right. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alright, so let's say you've started making changes. You're working on your mindset, breaking old patterns, pushing through discomfort. But even when you're doing everything right, something still feels off. Like there's an invisible force holding you back. You're making progress, but it's slower than you expected. That's because there's something you're not seeing. A blind spot. Think about driving a car. You check your mirrors, but there's always that one spot you can't see unless you turn your head. If you don't, you risk crashing. Well, your personal growth has blind spots too: subconscious beliefs, hidden fears, and unnoticed behaviors that are quietly sabotaging you. One of the biggest blind spots. Mistaking self-sabotage for self-care. Have you ever told yourself, "I just need to rest," but deep down, you know you're procrastinating? Or convinced yourself that staying in a bad situation is the mature thing to do, when really, you're just scared to walk away? There's a fine line between being kind to yourself and lying to yourself. Yes, rest is important. Yes, you deserve grace. But if your self-care is actually keeping you from the life you want, it's not self-care, it's self-sabotage in disguise. Another huge blind spot. Blaming circumstances instead of taking responsibility. This one's tricky because sometimes, life does throw unfair challenges our way. But if you always blame external factors, your boss, your parents, the economy, the people who hurt you, you're giving away your power. Here's a tough truth: nobody is coming to save you. If you want things to change, you have to be the one to change them. And yeah, that sucks to hear. But it's also freeing. Because if you are the problem, you are also the solution. Now, let's talk about fear of success. Sounds weird, right? We always hear about fear of failure, but what if the thing secretly holding you back is the fear of actually getting what you want? Think about it. If you finally lose the weight, grow the business, leave the toxic relationship, then what? Success brings responsibility. It forces you to level up. It means no more excuses, no more hiding. And that can be terrifying. So ask yourself, what part of me is afraid of actually succeeding? And then remind yourself, you are capable of handling whatever comes next. The last blind spot. Thinking you have to do it alone. Personal growth doesn't mean isolating yourself and white-knuckling your way through change. In fact, the fastest way to stay stuck is to try to do everything on your own. Find people who challenge and support you. Read books, join communities, get a mentor. Growth isn't meant to be a solo journey. The right people will make all the difference. So, what's your blind spot? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when real change begins. Now, in the final section, we're going to tie everything together with something powerful: connected knowledge. Because this journey, it doesn't end here. Personal growth doesn't happen in isolation, it's part of a bigger journey. If The Mountain Is You resonated with you, there are other books that will take your transformation even deeper. Atomic Habits by James Clear teaches how small daily actions create massive change. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer explores how to detach from limiting thoughts. Brené Brown's Daring greatly dives into vulnerability and self-worth, while The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks uncovers hidden fears of success. Growth is a lifelong climb, and the more knowledge you gather, the higher you'll go. So what's your next step? So, what's the real message of The Mountain Is You? It's simple: you are both the problem and the solution. The obstacles in your life aren't just happening to you, they're happening through you. And if you have the power to sabotage yourself, you also have the power to transform yourself. Change isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's not about being ready. It's about deciding. Choosing to rewrite your story. Choosing to stop avoiding discomfort. Choosing to trust yourself enough to take action, even when it's scary. Your mountain isn't going anywhere. The question is, are you going to climb it? If this video helped you, let me know in the comments, what's one thing you're committing to changing today? And if you want more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's more to come, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Now go. Start climbing. Your best life is waiting.